Hi, welcome to Tuesday Talk with a Therapist, myself, Felicia. I am a licensed clinical social worker for the great hospitality state of Mississippi, and welcome to Tuesday Talks. Look, today's Tuesday Talks is a good topic. Do you have a good fence? I want you to think about that. Do you have a good fence around you? And what I'm talking about fence, I'm talking about healthy boundaries. Yes, boundaries comes up a lot if my work with counseling with individuals, especially I work a lot with African American females. And some of the issues we deal with a lot is having healthy boundaries regarding having adult children, healthy boundaries with extended family, healthy boundaries regarding work. So I want you to think about this subject. Do I have a good fence around me? Think about it. Process it before you answer. Because when you hear a fence, what do you hear about? Most people put a fence in their yard to control what goes in and what comes out of their yard, right? I mean, as a barrier or as a safety or protection for who can have access to their yard. They don't want any and everybody coming in and they put a fence up. Sometimes people put a fence up for security or for privacy. And sometimes people put a fence up just because of how to make the value of their home increase for beautification. So, how of putting a fence up, if you put a fence up in your, how does that relates to for me, Felicia, in therapy? How that relates to me in my life? Look, I always talk about life happens outside of the four walls of therapy. So, I want you to get a visual image about a fence and what the purpose of a fence. Control access of what you allow in and out of your property, their private space. And many times we do not have good fences around us in our life. We allow people to come in and out of our lives, and we don't have good, healthy boundaries with them. And so I'm gonna talk about 4 tips today. Next week, I'll talk about some additional tips. So, tips for healthy boundaries. One tip is to know your limits. Yes, because with that fence, it's a limit where you can go, how much you let go in and out, but there's a limit. So, with tips for healthy boundaries, know your limits. What are my limits? Meaning that it is okay to protect your time, in which you have to say sometimes you have to say no, and that's a healthy boundary. Saying no to protect yourself, saying no to have that fence around you, knowing when to say no and be okay with it. And there's are times when you will say yes, but saying no is a tip as knowing your limits. Another tip for healthy boundaries is know your values. And so, for instance, when I gave the story about the fence of illustration about the fence, people put fence up many times to protect the privacy or the value of their home. They have those fence up. But what about the value of our life? Knowing our values. If, for instance, if you have a value or spending quality time or having time with your family, where y'all do something every weekend, then you have to know, don't let things come in to break that value, break that boundary that you have. You have to have those healthy boundaries with people. So if you have a boundary where every morning at 8 o'clock from 8 to 9, that is my time for me to exercise. Well, if it's not an emergency, why would I let people or a situation or things break that boundary? Talking about having tips to healthy boundary. Another tip for healthy boundary is listen to your emotions. What I mean by listen to your emotion is pay attention to what you're feeling and what are your thoughts and your emotion about situations when things come up or people ask you to do things. And do you really truly feel comfortable about it? Or do you have discomfort, uneasiness with it? And it's just like, if you have a fence, you're not going to let any and everybody come into your yard. You put that fence up there for a reason. You're not going to let any and everybody, if pets, dogs come into your yard if you have a fence. You might be want to protect your yard. You're not going to let any and everybody come into your life or dump stuff into your life, into your mind. If you got to you got to have those healthy boundaries with people. Um, Another boundary is uh, knowing your personal boundaries. What is your personal space? And you're the only person can determine what that personal space is. And guess what? You're the only person that can enforce that personal space. Because when people have fence, they're also a gate. And there's a person who have access to that gate to let know who come in and who come out. And you have access and you have the right to allow who can come in and access in and out of your life. And whether they're loved ones, extended family members, children, it is okay to set healthy boundaries. It is okay to have a healthy, good fence around yourself, around your time. It's okay. I say that a lot, but I want you to start thinking about that. I got to set the healthy boundaries for myself. I got to have that good fence around me. Not only, it's not only just to keep people in, but to let the appropriate people in at the appropriate time that you want to let them into your life. Look, this Tuesday talk, I want you to do something for me. I don't want you just to listen to this message. I want you to comment below. What are some things that you need to set healthy boundaries in? Have a good fence around. Could that be work? Could that be your family time? Could that be within your relationships? Could that be with extended family? What are you going to be working on setting healthy boundaries with, or that you know that you need to? Look, I want you to stay tuned for next Tuesday talks. I give some additional tips for healthy boundaries. And look, if you're ever in need of a counseling service in the great hospitality state of Mississippi, you can give me a call. I do face-to-face video and phone session, telehealth session. You can reach me at 601-317-5997, or you can check out my website, lendingmyhand.com. But look, overall, think about that. Think about the good fence that you want around you. And think more of what the purpose of a fence is. It's just not all just to protect for security and protection, but it's also really to control who comes in and out of your property. And I want you to have that control, who you allow to come in and out of your life, who and what you allow to come in and out of your mind, your thoughts, dealing with anxiety and depression. I'll see you next Tuesday. Talk with a therapist. You have a good day.